Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. Today I'm going to be going over the 6 tips that help me learn Spanish and the tips that I'm still continuing to implement every single day in my language learning process. So let's get it. So tip number 1 is one you've probably all heard of. It's called Duolingo. It's the world's largest website for learning languages, and they've got a ton of languages ranging from Spanish to Mandarin to Hindi. It's probably the go-to place for a lot of beginners, and that was the same for me. I started going on Duolingo probably around like 2015, but I never took it that seriously. Only about 2 years later in like 2017, that's when I started taking this goal of learning Spanish really seriously, and I've been doing it every single day since then. I've missed a few days in between them, but right now, currently I'm on a 365-day streak, missing only about 2 days in the last 3.5 years. So I'd say this is one of the most obvious tips. If you've never heard of it, check it out. They've got it's the best place to learn a language if you're a beginner, and they share a lot of great tips. It's not the be-all and end-all place for learning a language, but if you're a beginner, definitely check it out. It's a great place to start. The second way that I learn Spanish on a daily basis, or the way that I use it as a passive way of learning, is Netflix and YouTube. You guys all probably use this on a daily basis. I find it's personally a really good way to use that time that you normally would spend just watching whatever film you like, but turn that into a learning experience. So for example, if you're watching whatever show, Friends for example, you can turn the subtitles into Spanish, and you can watch the subtitles while you listen to the movie or show that's going on. However, I find it better if you watch a show that's been made in Spanish. So for me, the one that really got me going was a really famous show on Netflix called Money Heist, or in Spanish, Casa de Papel. At first I would, alternate between listening it to in Spanish and having English subtitles, but then there's this extension that you can have on Google Chrome called, I'll put the link in the description, it's called LLN, Language Learning with Netflix, and they have the same extension for YouTube, so you can apply the same thing there. Basically, this extension shows both the subtitles of your target language, so for me it would be English, and below it would be Spanish. So that's one way you could be watching a show and reading the subtitles below it. It's a great way to passively, like as I said, learn a language and just intake the sounds and just learn it in a really casual way, not putting too much of focus on it. But yeah, this is a great way, especially if you're just wanting to enjoy watching a show. Just turn the subtitles with LNN into the target language, and that sometimes works for me. The only thing that I would say with this tip is just don't pause every single time, because that can hinder your learning experience. That's something I used to do at the start. You pause every sentence because you wouldn't know a word. But honestly, when you start off, just listen to it, because you now have both the subtitles. Just listen to it, and over the show you'll realize that they repeat certain phrases or certain words, and write those key words down, those key phrases down. And yeah, really casual way. So I recommend you try that out. My third tip, I kind of mentioned it in my previous tip about using Netflix, is using YouTube with the same extension. I mean, it's made by the same company. I'll put a link about that in the description. With YouTube, it's kind of the same concept with Netflix. If you don't find anything interesting on Netflix, I'm sure a lot of you guys watch YouTube. There's some really great channels in Spanish. One that really helped me a lot was Easy Languages. They've got a whole channel with all the languages that they cover. Spanish is one of them. And so this is a really great channel because it's just casual street conversations, street interviews on the streets of Spain, Argentina, Mexico, and it's a really great way to hear how people describe their days, what activities they do, and it's something that I've used along with Netflix. So just using YouTube, finding channels that interest you, whatever topic that may be. It can be in English or Spanish, but I recommend it to be in Spanish. Obviously, you're trying to get as much as input as possible. So yeah, YouTube is one really great source to learn languages. My fourth tip is something that I've seen a couple of other YouTubers do who I follow who learn languages, and it's turning your entire phone into your target language. So for me, that'd be Spanish. Currently, my phone is in Spanish, so when I turn it on, I get all my notifications in Spanish. I get all news, all the things I'm interested in, everything's in Spanish. At first, it was kind of difficult because you didn't know some of the words, and you're scared if you might make a mistake, you might send something to someone, or you're updating something that you shouldn't be updating, things like that. But over time, it's a really good way to, just learn the words that are used on your phone, words such as updating, words such as download, upload, just things like that. it's just a really passive way to just take in new words. And for me, I found like I've had Spanish on my phone. I've studied Spanish for almost a year now, and I haven't looked back. I haven't changed it since. At the start, I kind of just dabbled between English and Spanish, but now I've just settled with it, and I'm so used to it. Like, it doesn't even bother me. Like, I read everything, and I know exactly what's happening on my phone. So for me, it's not a problem. But definitely, turning your phone into your target language is a great way to learn language and take in some words. My fourth tip would be to read articles or blog posts or whatever you're interested in, even on social media. Reading content in your target language. So for me, on whatever social media accounts that I have Instagram, Twitter, I just like follow accounts in Spanish, and because my phone is now in Spanish, a lot of times the posts that I get, usually they would be translated. If I'm following, like, for example, I follow like Leo Messi, and usually the post would be like, I could translate it into English, but now it's just in Spanish, and like, things like that. Just following accounts you like, reading blog posts or articles on the web or on your phone in your target language is a really good way to get accustomed to the sentence structure of the language and incorporate and gain new vocabulary. One thing that I found recently it's really helped me in my process. It's a Chrome extension again, just like LLN. It's called ReadLang, and with this Chrome extension, you download it, and basically you can read whatever article in whatever language. They got a bunch of languages. Specifically, I'm using it for Spanish, and now with my Portuguese and French. Read whatever interests you. That's the thing. Read whatever interests you. Don't make it a chore. Make language learning fun. If you're interested in cooking, if you're interested in fashion, beauty, whatever it may be, read whatever you're interested in. And so for me, I read news about football using OneFootball. It's a really nice app that they have on the phone, and it's a really nice website. It's really short articles about updates in the world of football, and I just read it in Spanish. You can click on the words that you don't know, and it'll show you what its meaning is. They even have like the website, its own website, so whatever word you click on, it gets sent to that website, and it creates like flashcards for you, and you can practice those words that you read in your article using a spaced repetition method, which is a really great way, a really effective way for learning new vocabulary. I've heard people use Anki for that. People use Notion, like, in terms of spaced repetition, but for me, I find that this works. I wish I had found it way earlier, because I think I would have sped up the process much faster. But yeah, ReadLang and just reading articles, reading whatever you want online, great way to learn a language. My next tip would be to listen to podcasts. In terms of gaining input through your ears and just listening more, that's another great way to learn a language. It kind of ties in with the Netflix and YouTube point with in that sense you're reading and watching. But podcast is something I would recommend when you're really more comfortable with the language. Something that I started with personally was like Duolingo. Like they have their own podcast. Really, it's for beginners, like A1, A2 level. Use that, like use podcasts, like simple podcasts. There's, I think, News and Slow Spanish. Coffee Break Spanish is another one that a lot of people recommend. Again, do whatever interests you. If you take away one thing from this video, to make language learning like the best, like easiest process for you and the most fun way to learn it is incorporate your passions into learning languages. That's how I see it, and that's what I've been doing for a long time now, and it's really helped me, and it's made the whole process really fun. So put your headphones on and listen to a podcast. My next tip builds on the podcast tip. For a lot of people, it's about listening to music, and that's something I enjoy too. I love music, and listening to music in your target language is just the best way, honestly, to gain new words and gain new like street phrases, colloquial sayings that you wouldn't normally see in news articles or maybe in posts. So that's another great way to learn a language, just listening to content in your target language. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to understand, but when you're reading the lyrics, like sometimes it just takes a bit of like 5 minutes, read the lyrics and just learn it that way. There's also another great app for learning languages through songs. I think it's called Lyric Sync. I'll put the link in the description for that. They have a free version and also like a pro version, so it's basically an app where you can listen to music and they pause it at certain times and you fill in the blank of whatever the artist said, and just another way of like listening to sounds and music. And there's just something about listening to music and learning languages, like whenever you incorporate rhythm and a beat to it, it's just gonna stick way faster. So definitely a tip that I recommend. And lastly, I know I said 6 tips, but I do have a bonus tip for you guys. And this is one tip that I've been implementing for over 6 months now, and it's just really helped me in my language learning process. And it would be to speak with native speakers. Now I know that we're all in quarantine and it's a bit difficult to find people to speak with, but the good thing is that in this day and age, we've got We've got everything we need on our cell phones, on our computers, with the internet. We can reach out to anyone we need. You can find people to talk with in the Duolingo forums. You can find people to talk with in like Facebook groups, Reddit subgroups. There's just many ways to find people. There's also a bunch of apps out there. italki, Hello Talk, Tandem is another big one that people use to communicate with each other. And yeah, the reason why I recommend this tip is because when you're speaking to someone else, you're forced to think about what you want to say, and you're forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and speak with that person. And so with me, I've been speaking with a good friend of mine in South America for about 6 months now, and we do like 30 minutes English, 30 minutes Spanish. I talk to him in English and he teaches me and talks to me in Spanish. Just talk about like just casual things, the things that we do in our routine daily lives, and speak about our hobbies, things that you just would speak to your friend or your family member. And just speaking on a consistent basis, that keeps the routine and the habit up for speaking and communicating in our languages. But yeah, this is a tip that I highly recommend. Speak with a native speaker and you'll be amazed at how fast you make progress. And yeah, those have been some of my tips and tricks that I've been using for a long while now. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave some comments down below, sharing with me your tips and tricks or any questions that you have. You can also hit me up at Brown_Barrow on Twitter, and follow me on there. Follow my YouTube channel too. And yeah, because over here at the Brown_Barrow, we're all about language learning related content, and it's about the process. It's about the process. Don't forget that, because my camera fell.